Yeah, why don't you give it to me? I'll pass it to me.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me sit next to you.
We're being interviewed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interviewing.
Well, I wasn't asked. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be interviewed.
This is not your week
Who was
to be asked.
interviewing? I wonder who's going to be there, what the questions are going to be. Right? Yeah, that's right.
That's what I said?
That is. I mean, that's what you put me hip to today. I got to ask the right questions. Okay, you want me?
Yeah, but you don't have to ask them what their questions
No, I mean, right now, I'm practicing. Who are you people? What is it you want to know? And what's your agenda?
We haven't had time left to don't give it all away, all right?
No, don't give it all away.
Is that camera on?
Is that camera on? Yes.
It is
Who's
on.
up there?
I want to ask you a question.
All right. Is the camera on?
Yeah. What did you think about the phone call you got from Don Show?
Subsequently, or at the moment that it came?
Both.
At the moment it came, you have to understand, the telephone rang and there was a voice on the telephone that said, "Hello, Kedric, this is Don Shirley, and I've called to ask you if you are going to give the grant back." And I said, "What?"
You got one.
Yeah, and I've got no notice from anybody that I've gotten the grant, number one. Nothing in the mail, no indication. And then here's a guy on the phone wanting to know if I'm going to give it back. Well, immediately
for the general public to know.
Yeah, for the general public to know, because they're doing a feature on the Times, and they have to know within 45 minutes how I feel about it. You know.
How long does it take?
So I mean, I
respond?
found that somewhat disquieting. And he said, well, then he said, are you Kedric Wolf from New York, New York? I said, no, I'm Kedric Wolf from LA. So the whole point being, to answer Scott's question, was I was flabbergasted and confused. It's exactly how I felt on that issue
So,
at that time on the phone.
now how would you answer that question?
Now, subsequently, since that time, I've thought about it. And as I was telling Scott earlier today, Rachel Rosenthal called me. She said, "Kedric, I've called a press conference for tomorrow, and I want you to be there. We are giving the money back, and we feel it'd be just great if we formed a solidarity and everybody gave the money back." You know? Well, first of all, when Bella Lewitsky gave the money back, I thought, and that's $74,000, right? I thought, wow, that's balls. That shows me some class. It really did. That's a big piece of change to be given back.
So you wouldn't give it back unless.
But she did get private donations worth more than that.
Yeah.
Support of what you did.
Yeah. So I have that.
Important point.
That's an,
Now I wonder if she knew that before she gave the money back.
I don't know, And then, so I said, well, okay, I'll come to the press conference,
So you're going to go?
I'm going to go to the press conference, but I don't know what I'm going to say or do, but I've been thinking about it.
What time is it?
10 o'clock.
You know what I think?
I've been thinking hard about it. Number one, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can view this.
Right. I think you should take the money and demand that they give them money too.
Oh, some constructive.
Giving up the money.
I'm going to demand that everybody give me the money back,
And let you
I'm
distribute
just,
it.
yeah. Even though
back to you.
give it to me. Forget Fleck, forget all those other people. Just everybody give their money
So
to
the
me.
money that they might have given them, have them give it to you. That's...
No, I mean,
that they would have
It would definitely be
there are a lot
better.
of things that can be done.
It would definitely be better spent.
No.
well, good.
So
everyone.
here's different kinds of compartments of my thinking. Number one is that I have
82.
no, 65.
Oh, it's
So I have the W-2 forms to prove that money already belongs to me.
How do you have the W-2 form?
I gave it to myself. I pay taxes. That's taxpayers' money.
Right.
I've been paying taxes. I've been paying tax. I've been paying tax. I've been paying
That's right. What
taxes.
happens to the money they're
Right,
going to
you
give
know what
to
I mean?
Fleck?
So,
Who gets the money?
Jesse Helms can pee off a bridge. He's not giving me any money. That's my money.
Right.
I've paid myself for all this work.
Good point.
Point.
Excellent point.
You follow?
Excellent point.
So, And like I said, I got the W-2s to prove that that's.
So you're just taking some of your money back?
No, what I'm saying is that I pay taxes out.
Right.
That's tax money that they give away. So
I
I've
see.
just given them money and they've given it back to me. It's all right, money. There's no one to return
It's
it
a
to.
cyclic
It's my
affair.
money.
Right.
But
Well, all it says
So
is
essentially you're returning it to yourself.
I'm returning it to myself.
It's an artist rebate.
see, that's the money that would have gone to John Flair.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, if everybody wants to shave off a piece of theirs to make up for these other people that were disallowed, I would go along with that.
Oh, that makes a
that's
lot of
Stanley-
sense.
That Stanley suggested.
That's
Or
a great
else
idea.
include them in your pieces and pay them.
Yeah.
That's a great
No,
idea.
it's just a shame to give it back to the government. The government
Yeah.
offers us so little for
Oh,
anything worthy.
And here's another thing. Here's another thing to consider. This is a very good point, I think. That you had to sign, and I remember what it was I signed.
Right.
But
Right, not
along the way, you had to embrace the knowledge that you would not do a number of things with these monies. And notice one of them, if you travel, if you fly overseas to do research or something, you have to go on an American carrier that you
Don't wanna
can't,
upset
like,
the balance
you
trade.
know, Air India or Japanese Air, Indonesian Air. You have got to use TWA or United or some American company that flies to those places, you know. And if you want to use another air carrier, you're supposed to like go through, contact certain people, make sure that there are no American carriers servicing these ports before you go ahead and make those kinds of commitments. You know, so there's things that you're not supposed to do with the money. One of them is you can't dole it out into a political campaign. You can't. They don't want you to.
Well, did you hear what they did in Costa Mesa with the $30,000 grant to the South Coast Repertory?
What was that?
That's a city grant coming from Costa Mesa.
Right.
Now, the South Coast Repertory printed up flyers which they gave out to their audience, which was that they should write their congressman or tell their congressman to back the NEA. Okay? So, the city says that we're not giving you your $30,000 yet until we invest, even though they finished the programming for the $30,000, until we investigate whether you use some of the $30,000 to print up the flyers, because that's politicking and you're not allowed to use the money for politics.
That's right. And this is the thing I'm saying, that if we give the money back, we're playing into Jesse Helms' hands.
Scott was.
We
I
are.
don't think you should
Anyways,
give the money back.
No, wait a second. I mean, this is just one way of thinking about it, right?
But this is very important. The articulation is the most important part of this.
Yeah. Now, this is the one way of thinking about it is that I think that Jesse Helms and those guys are making political hay out of this. If we say the money goes back, that in a way is supporting his political objectives. He's going to look. Rachel Rosenthal sent back $11,000. I saved United States taxpayers $11,000 right here. $6,500 from Kedric. Jesse Helms. So in a way, we are supporting his political objectives by, it's almost like contributing to his campaign, which we're not allowed to do. Therefore,
Should take
don't
it
give
and
the money
demand
back.
more.
Oh, I thought we were having an earthquake.
That's good reasoning, I'm thinking. You follow the line on that, you know? You follow what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And another way I would say
So
is
why
that
don't you present all these alternatives tomorrow? Don't feel you have to submit it to one. I mean, don't feel you don't feel you have to narrow this down tomorrow to one position, do you?
no, I don't feel
So
no
is
question.
your
I'm
position-
going to be pushed for that, though.
Is your position you're not going to give it back?
Yeah, that's my position. I'm not giving it back.
All right.
Yeah, you made up your mind.
It's a fair. There you go.
Okay, so another
So-
question then. What if, now there are 14 people who are receiving it, what if all 13 agree to give it back and you're the only one?
I'll throw in with it. I mean,
Why?
huh?
Suggest the
Why?
where you
Why?
split it
No.
up
See,
with
the important
everybody.
thing is getting the publicity. The important thing is to make a statement.
Yeah.
Bella had to give back $74,000 to make a statement. None of the rest of you have to now. The statement's been made.
But he
Now
can-
you're getting a
That's
press
right.
conference for
No.
keeping your fucking money.
But now, but he can
It's beautiful.
he can make a statement.
You have to
also,
continue that kind of
I
publicity.
mean, what do you think the chances are that all 13 of the 14 are going to give back the money except for Kedric? Very
not,
slim,
no.
right? I would say,
Especially after he makes his
I would
statement.
say that if there was that kind of unity, which I've never seen in America ever, I would throw in with them for the sake of that. I mean, if it came out
Yeah.
to something like that, rather than 10 and 4. But if
it'd
it came out to like everybody except him,
It's a political statement, yeah.
yeah,
To
then it's like, okay. So the odds are 14 to 1. If you took that stance, the odds would be 14 to 1 in your favor of having to give back the money. It's not a bad gamble.
See, now, if all the money gets given back all across the United States, what does that exactly mean for the future of the NEA and the future of
It
artists
means that the
receiving money in the
NEA
future?
They'll give it to somebody else.
Or that the NEA will go down.
will become
Crash and
defunct.
burn.
Yeah, in other
We'll
words,
have no function, have
in
no
other words,
purpose.
the line of thinking could very easily be, they don't want the money, only because we asked them not to do obscene things.
So therefore, they only want the money to do obscene things.
Or
Right.
or when we ask them not to do obscene things, they don't even want the money.
Right, because
So
they can't think of anything else to
obviously-
do.
And
Yeah,
they
something
need the
along
money.
those lines.
Can you go back to
Yeah, there is
the
this side of it. It's a very good side of it.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing, and again, you're getting the publicity, so why give it back? That's the point. The point
And
is to make a
also
political
maybe-
statement. You can do it verbally with your own articulation, and not give up a penny.
Yeah, I would say, what if we just all gave the money to the homeless?
There you go.
Yeah, why give it
all
to the
right,
NEA?
now you
just,
got it.
you know,
Now
we'll just
Ooh,
pick
that's
a
even-
charity and we'll all just go down there and hand it out.
That's a hot statement.
You
It's a
know?
very hot statement.
Now, why give it back to them and let them do something with it that you can't? You should be. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, see, step number one, okay, there's the one
Don't
thing
give
about
it
not
back.
taking the money.
Or,
So the second thing then is, if we are going to give it back, why give it back to them?
Yeah.
Let's give it back to somebody else. You're still going to make the same statement plus more.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
That
it's
way.
true.
right, that's what I think.
Except you're not allowed to do that.
Well, sure you are.
Or you're allowed to do whatever you want with that money.
Well,
no,
I
you
mean,
don't.
I mean,
There's no
each
line
one's a
items.
little bit different. I mean, but regardless, it could be worked out that
But I
way.
think-
Say, hey, we're doing a performance and we're
Like,
giving
yeah,
this.
but
up,
Aaron said,
you know.
essentially the money was for past work, not for present or future work. That's what the award is for. So you're free to do whatever you want with your money.
So it's like forfeiting salary. You're already working out. Right?
It's
But
too
I
bad you
thought,
couldn't get
no,
a piece together.
if you get money though, then you.
Thought like going, maybe.
It's like when John got his first NEA grant,
It's just a tie. Kedric.
Tomorrow,
And he would
something
say,
has to be done tomorrow.
That's what I thought about doing. I
Kedric.
thought,
thing at the
this is
bottom
not
of the
obscene, you
program
know?
Kedric.
flyers
Yes.
Just go with just a
supported
tie
by
on
NEA
it.
grant.
Just a tie.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
thought about.
I think
Just
that's
a tie.
required.
Oh,
A coat
Kedric, that's
tie.
great. I mean, go with a jock strap and accept the, and say,
And a
I'm
bra.
going to accept the money because I don't do anything obscene.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, okay, yeah, that's very good, very good. There's
That would be my
there's two okay yeah, no there's two ways to there's a situation, and this situation can be looked at from two primary views. One of them is that view. I'm not going to do anything obscene, so I can keep the money. The other view is, look, they burn Fleck and they burn these other people, so fuck you, take the money back. See, those are like two different kinds of
Right.
approaches
Right.
to the situation, as I see it. You know, I'm not going to do anything obscene,
Right,
and by my own rules, not theirs,
right,
and so I can keep the money.
right.
That covers that part of it. But then about everybody joining forces and giving the money back as a statement of solidarity about how we feel about them drawing these arbitrary borders about people's work is another way of looking at it. And that's the one that Rachel's taking the
Right,
tag.
right.
I'm sure, you know.
Right.
So what are you going to do with your money?
Me?
He doesn't know. He
I still haven't. I mean, I still.
He
No one has told me.
has
I haven't. I still haven't. I still don't even know that I got one. I mean, I assume so after all this, but I mean, nothing has come in the mail. I've had no phone calls
When
except from
Shirley
Don and
called
Shirley
me-
and this thing in the
When
paper.
Shirley,
You know?
Hell of a practical
when
joke.
Shirley called me, it said Kedric Wolf, but it says New York, New York. So he said, but it must be him.
Maybe there's another.
I said,
kid
well,
with
I can't imagine somebody else would have the same name.
Well, that's
Is there an E at the end of Wolf? So he said, yeah, there's an E at the end of Wolf. I said, then it's probably Kedric.
So
Okay.
they don't want to admit that you're from LA.
Or something.
Well, see, you're going to New York after this. You're going to do your work in New York.
Did you hear what they're going to do? John Fleck and all the people denied are being shown in New York.
What do you mean being shown?
The four, who is this? There's Fleck, there's Tim Miller,
There's Karen
Finley,
Holly
Hughes.
and Holly Hughes. Those four people, somebody has come right to the front and says, we will produce the four of you for 2 weeks in New York.
Really? That's far out?
That's already down the road.
How'd you hear about that?
Sylvia.
So that's creative. I mean, see, I think the whole thing has to be
So
creative.
they are being, the non-fundeds are being produced.
Who's the producer? Or who's the theater?
Somebody in New York.
So, okay, so what you
Yeah,
really
and I
got
think in August or something,
Now,
for 2 weeks, I think I
what
have a 2-week
becomes-
run of their stuff.
You don't know the location?
No.
Kitchen or piano?
This is what I mean about the way these things are constantly being dealt with by the artists, allowing spokespeople who are not artistic at all to be the front runners in this. You know what I mean? And deliver these statements and everything like that. When the artist himself should do it and should use his talents, okay, to confront the situation so that the form itself gets out to more people. I mean, this is an opportunity for the form itself to be projected to the general public, which never gets any exposure to it, which is the way you function and the way some of these creative artists function. Rachel should be functioning the same way, creatively, instead of a boring press conference in which there's a self-righteous statement about giving the money back.
Maybe she's going to do
So
something
all this is
outrageous.
good, right? Now these four, maybe she is. All right, I think that'd be good. So here are the four people now being exposed to the general public. That's why I said he's the best thing in the world. Jesse Helms is really doing everybody a service by what he's doing because he's forcing people to politicize, including you. Right? I mean, you gotta really start thinking about this shit.
I noticed this is the
But
most
what I don't-
serious you've been since you got the grant.
There's money involved.
The last 24
Yeah,
hours.
it has been a joyless grant, you know. I mean, it has.
You really have to get up for
I
this
mean,
grant.
it's go.
I mean, how many years do you wait for somebody to say, we're giving you $6,500, and in the next breath say, but you can't have it?
Yeah. Are you willing to give it back? You know. So.
65.
I thought it was 84.
What time's the press conference?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
You know, the LA Times is listed as 8,200, I could swear. Yours.
No, 65.
No?
There was somebody else that got
I'm so good with numbers.
82. Is that tax-free?
Nah,
No.
nothing's tax-free.
Nothing's tax-free. So I mean, you have to give part of it back anyway.
Right.
I mean, that's even given.
That's an
not,
insult
That's a given.
on top
yeah.
of it all.
Do you have to get incorporated?
No.
No, they're individual.
No, these are individual.
Shoot. Well,
So this is great, Kedric.
it's great, but it still pisses me off.
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
the
good
whole
too.
thing.
So you will become a leader in the movement now.
Kedric, why don't you simply go in the cage? Why don't you talk from the cage? I mean, everyone's putting you in it.
Wow.
I could do that.
Scott,
Go down
you're
there
so
and set the
theatrical.
cage
Wow,
up.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
set the cage
You
up and
naked in the
deliver all
cage?
your statements from here. This is where I am right now.
Oh, this is so
And
good.
then you can go into all the options fit in really well because it's put you in this situation.
Kedric, can I wheel you in?
Something to think about.
Yeah, and most people have never seen the cage.
Oh,
Then,
oh yes. Oh,
see, now I'm all, you know,
good.
that.
I can see
Yeah.
this serious program on television coverage, and now a statement from the artist. After the struggle, and then you come wheeling out in this thing. Let me explain.
I applaud your selection.
Oh, you can start the piece off the same way.
Oh, I applied for a grant.
I got the grant.
I think I got it.
Hey, you've got to do that. That's terrific. It really is.
And then nobody will even notice you that you didn't give back the grant. I mean,
What's that?
it'll be the talk of the entire community. Nobody will notice what you did with the money. It won't matter anymore. The thing is that you came out of the cage.
Carry a script,
Carry a script. Take notes. Take some notes.
just in case.
Yeah.
You won't leave anything out. I mean, I think that would be acceptable this time. You could explain it. Look, I just came up with
Let me
this
explain.
yesterday.
Let me explain.
Well,
For you to have a script there, I just came up with this yesterday. It's not easy. You know, the pressures that are put on us performance artists nowadays. Here's another one. So excuse the notes.
yeah.
You know, so you don't have to memorize everything. Because you don't want to miss anything.
So,
I feel almost like you shouldn't be here anymore. You should be home working.
press conference.
Depends on your level of
I have a
commitment.
press conference tomorrow.
Yeah, but see, you know your limits.
It surely needs a sense of humor, I'll tell you.
How pet is it bad?
Struggle real.
And Rachel has a gorilla
I
routine. She
said
can hang
it.
out outside.
This is the way I thought about it. That Jesse Helms has been jerking off a
Take
lot,
notes?
and we have all gotten ensnared in his soiled little cleaner. This whole fucking debate is so he can get elected.
Yes.
I think
And
they
where are
do
the
that.
where are the issues? Where are the issues of $1 million a day going to the government of El Salvador?
That's right.
And them killing those priests down there with
So-
our
so
tax
do you think
dollars.
that the whole-
Where's the obscenity involved in that?
So what about, do you think
Yeah.
that this whole tactic could be diversionary?
It's very
Oh,
divisive.
absolutely.
It's like the
Everybody's
flag.
saying that
Well,
that's
Burn the
I
flag,
know everybody's
NEA.
saying-
These are really the big important issues of our
Then
time.
maybe that's the way you,
No.
maybe that's the way you respond to this.
No.
this. When they ask you the question,
What?
then you're gonna accept the money, you just go into a whole thing about El Salvador and everything.
Oh, from the
Oh,
cage.
man.
From the cage.
Okay,
It's
next
beautiful.
question.
Hey, that's great. That's so good.
Just go into a mad rap. You know. But you haven't answered the question. Are you gonna accept the money?
I'm glad you asked that.
Next question.
What money?
right. Well, that should be a.
What money are you talking about?
$6,500. Then you go into a whole rap again.
That's nothing. Do you realize how much we spend on?
Also, first you have to get it before you can reject it.
Well, they're giving you the opportunity to do that first.
That way you don't have to put a stamp on your envelope.
But
But anyway, you decide what
whoa, I think, Kedric, if you could
Do you want
make
this?
eventful,
There?
if
Nancy?
you just make it eventful, it would be the greatest contribution to the revolution in the last 5 years.
To the
At least,
revolution.
at least
the
coming
revolution
from
that we're praying
performing
for.
artists. You know, because the bolder statements have always been like,
How about coming out with just a little nothing, wearing nothing but a little red American flag and a lit match, and announcing that you are not going to burn this flag, because if I did, it would expose me, and that would be obscene.
great. Kedric, is there only one press conference? How can you get all of this in? Let me explain is one way you can do it. After you finish one thing, you come out of the cage, do that. But let me explain. You go back in.
Scott should be your press
thing,
agent.
right?
Press
But
conference,
let me
event,
explain.
And you're doing this tomorrow morning?
That's where the press conference
That's
is.
why he's meeting with the Brain Trust
I
tonight.
think
Yeah,
it's-
meeting with the brain trust
I mean,
tonight.
I throw out- I throw out-
And I also remember the talk is cheap. You know.
But that's
Can you
why-
deliver tomorrow?
Talk
But that's
is-
why I'm throwing the cage out to you. I mean, that's always the beginning point, where if you did no more than just came
Yeah.
out in the cage
Right.
and talked, you'd be making a statement. In other words, if the pressure is too great to do any of these great things,
Let the
just
cage
go,
do
just
the talking.
appear in the cage,
Mhm.
and then you can just talk from there. Just appear in the cage, but don't take the cage out if you don't come up with anything else.
What?
if you don't come up with anything else, all these things we're talking about,
anybody
at least go there in the cage
Oh, okay.
and do that.
There's a
because-
bottom line in the cage.
Yeah, because you got a statement already. Now you can just talk about how you feel from the cage.
Yeah.
And you're making another creative statement anyway, which is really what these people need, is to be creative more than giving the money back.
The news networks will love it if they have any sense at all.
Oh, yeah.
They'll run a lot of it.
I mean, a press con, what does a press con mean? That's the newspaper's gonna be there probably, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, and they'll put in the Daily
And
Times.
nobody is dramatizing, none of the artists are dramatizing anything. There is nothing theatrical going on, you know, except the theatrics that the print media, the television media create. But the artist is like
Do you know another point?
totally fucked up with this.
Weird.
Do you know another point? There are people giving the money back, there are people keeping the money. The people who are keeping the money have to be prepared to support the people who are giving the money back 100%.
Yeah,
I support
agree.
you 100% on this gesture,
However,
and in exchange for that, to keep the scales balanced, you have got to support me
Right.
100% for not giving it
Right.
back.
Right.
Because if that doesn't happen,
That's
Kids are very
then
divisive.
See, that's the whole-
that's very
it's
divisive.
very divisive, and
and
they're getting exactly what they want.
I hope
the
you bring all
whole
these
idea
points
about
down.
divide and conquer. If they get the artists fighting with each other, nobody's going to be
And
organized.
also,
Right,
and also, I want
So-
more.
It's gonna be totally supportive.
Sure,
Yeah.
you know, and that's
That's it.
ridiculous. That,
good point.
you know,
I'm gonna
it's
have a
interesting
line.
because this is
I'm
the
gonna go
first
and
time
check the,
artists as a group have
Gerber
even
queue.
organized at all. You know, maybe that's the reason why they're sending some people money and not other people, because they know it's going to cause divisiveness. Screwed.
See, this is the best thing that can happen. Because this is when his creative juices flow the most. I mean, it's really an opportunity.
It's Guerrilla Theater tomorrow morning. It's going to be taped. It's going to be on every network. It's
You know,
beautiful.
we did a.
They don't know it's Guerrilla Theater yet.
Yeah, we did a guerrilla theater when it first happened. John and some people, when John was doing the Tiffany, the fishes thing, and we all
Yeah,
had
yeah.
things on of Jesse Helms, and we were like saying like Jesse, he's no fun, he needs to get in
Yes.
the bum, and you know, it was like this whole evening where we just walked back and forth on Sunset, screaming out these bizarre things.
But what I like,
and-
you know what I like about Kedric in particular is that the performance concepts are outrageous, and at the same time, he's very specific in his articulation and what he's addressing.
Yeah.
You know, they can slaughter you with those things.
Plus, he
So
doesn't.
they end up cute and they make a point, but in the long run, in terms of the
Oh
general
no!
public,
It wouldn't. That's
but
But
a
you
lot
know,
of,
he
a
has
lot
a
of
different
theater tries to
style.
combat these things that way.
Kedric has a different style. He doesn't get, you know, in your face kind of stuff. He's more, you know, subtle and he's more poetic with what he
Yeah.
does with
And
his
he's
stuff.
more direct.
Yeah, I mean,
very
it's
direct.
like, it's almost like a different. I mean,
his
he's doing the same thing.
His metaphors are so clear that they almost have to capture your imagination, which is really what you want to do with the general public.
You know, and yet, you know, it's just as powerful as what Fleck and the others are doing.
I think Fleck would probably think along the same kind. Fleck thinks along the same lines. I mean, he's able to like articulate very clearly different things and also bring that outrageous creativity to it. And I don't think too many artists are able to do that anymore. You know, I mean, it's easy.
Well,
to
we'll have to see how it affects Fleck's performance.
What do you mean?
Not getting the grant.
I spoke to him already. He told me he didn't know if he had received it if he wouldn't keep it himself.
I'm sure he had it all spent already.
Oh, it's so, I mean, the horrible, horrible things that are going on in the world, and this, it's like, you know,
But that's what
Self-diversion.
that's what this could illuminate.
Yeah,
You know?
what do you mean?
used correctly.
That how these diversionary
Oh,
things
yeah.
are always practiced.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, Jesse Helms is protecting himself from the SNL scandal. already.
Yeah. And the end of the Cold War. So they don't have to, anybody does.
You know, it's interesting. The same thing happens. Like I was in the army in between two wars, and I hear like the sergeants and everything are a lot more hostile to their own troops when there is no war going on. That's what happens. That same hostility
Yeah.
just goes back down on you.
That's why they need wars.
Thanks.
Yeah, otherwise, what happens is they fire on
You
their
turn
own.
on yourself.
They fire on their own people. Well, I almost hate to leave.
Yeah, but they're waiting for you.
That island where they just.
You
sit around-
think you're gonna rest? No, no way. Now, did they know you're coming up there?
Yeah. They have workshop scheduled.
It's a whole different energy.
But Kedric, that was incredible. I mean, I spoke to him right before I came here. And I said, have you thought about it? He said, no, I haven't really thought about it. I said, you better think about it fast, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. So all this happened in the last hour.
That's good. That's good to know. Yeah.
It will be interesting to see what happens tomorrow and what gets into the newspaper and on TV as part of it. You know,
I
you
mean,
wonder what
it's really an opportunity for him to state himself. You know, most people don't even know who he is. And he's probably as good as anybody in America in terms of originality and performance. Have you ever seen him perform? He's incredible. And nobody even knows he exists except for a small cult here in LA. But it's that kind of mind that produces this kind of stuff. You know?
Well, you know, it's just a matter of him performing. Once you see him perform,
Of dangerous.
it doesn't matter.
It is a great form.
Yay. Holy crap. Going around my head. He thinks we...
Nice guy.
How
No.
long, Annie?
Have a good time.
Okay, I'll talk to you during the week about that thing.
Okay.
Okay, what to work on.
All right.
Okay. So long, kid.
Bye, Annie.
see you later.
You going?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been here all day?
Yeah, most of the day, yeah.
Well, glad I got to see you.
So you're gonna keep funny, huh?
As of this moment, I'm keeping the money.
I'll talk to you.
I'm going to keep the money I haven't seen yet.
So what were you saying? What were
Good
you saying?
night.
It's
Oh,
only-
he's-
Surprise you.
Suggested a piece needs to be done. Yeah, Dwayne needs to. He said like, a piece should be done called "Fuck Jesse Helms" to test the whole thing. You know. And that'd be the name of it, and that's what the piece would be about.
Do it after you get the money, though.
Yeah, do it after you get the money. Which would be the last grant any of us ever get.
Yeah, but you'd still make it poetic.
You know, Kedric, there's a lot of sex in Warren's story.
There is a lot of sex in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it so acceptable? A menage a trois scene. I mean, that scene, I mean, really, you're talking about a young kid.
What see bothers
Two
me
young
is you don't know
kids.
who the father is.
That's what bothers you, Les?
Father was Warren. He came back. Visit her at night, but that wasn't in the story.
The rain washed up the seed of Warren.
God, so, yeah. It's just the way that it was dealt with, you know.
But you're kind of
If I had hauled in a videotape and showed a, you know, full-on X-rated menage a trois for the audience to see, then it would have been the same story, but wouldn't have gone
So
down.
you're telling me it makes it.
Yes, the way I do it.
That's artistic.
It has, yeah, artistic
That's the
merit.
difference.
I don't know. I was
Because, you know, it's all done in metaphors.
Sure, don't you remember always in the old movies, as soon as right after they kissed, the camera would go
Yeah,
out the window.
right.
And
And
they'd be like
then
thunder.
smiling the next morning. Yeah.
The rain was the metaphor.
Yeah, you really
That's what you did, actually. You took all those metaphors.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had about 40 of them.
All of them. But you said it. You said this was
Crags,
you said that this was the corniest piece in town. So
God, I never thought of those terms.
But
You're right.
total commitment to corn is transcendent. Yeah. It
I've
really
always
is.
wanted to say in that line, stay in a row without killing the corn. which is more than I can say for this show.
Don't ever say that. don't plant those ideas.
Oh, you gotta say that.
Oh no, another conflict. Oh no, another conflict. Oh no, not
See,
more
it
conflict.
would take your performance up to another level.
So would heroin.
What?
Just joking. He said it would take your performance up to another level. I said so.
Yeah.
If
I was back to the American flag in the match.
That is a real good idea. I bet you would do that though.
You say it's not a good idea?
I think it is, but I think you would
do that in the
I think
cage.
The thing is that you got to think of how much you can handle without being incoherent.
You gotta get the message. You gotta get the message across.
Just write it on a piece of paper. Since I've been told about this grant, I can't speak.
Yeah. I've taken a vow of silence. Yes.
What if you contributed the money to Jesse Helms'
Election
his
campaign.
election campaign?
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Would he accept the money? And then you send it to him with a letter and you make it public. There's a letter here asking Jesse if he will accept this money. From one who believes in
On behalf of John Fleck and Holly.
Right.
Will you accept the money?
He would accept it though, that's the point.
He would accept it?
Oh, sure.
I don't think he would. Not 6,500. If it was 65,000, he'd accept it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
He could get more mileage out of not accepting.
But
That's
that's
what-
impossible.
that's the way
It's part
they-
of your terms if you can't do it.
Yeah.
right?
You know what? I just realized something.
What's part of your
There's
terms?
That he can't donate the money to any political cause, right?
Yeah.
That's part of it.
But he's
You
given
can't
it.
donate that to a political
Now, what
cause.
if you had $6,500 in the bank and you said, I'm taking this $6,500, I'm putting it in
Well,
the bank,
yes,
I'm
that's
now
the-
donating $6,500 of my own.
See, but it has nothing to do with politics. It's
You're
just your
asking for
personal
trouble.
feelings towards
What?
Jesse
You're
Helms.
asking for
That's
trouble.
giving you-
Well, you're always asking for trouble. You should always be asking for trouble. The name of the game is how to avoid it, but keep asking for it.
He can donate art performances for
Yeah.
Jesse Helms' campaign, and in that way, by paying for your performances, it will be donating the service to.
So what'll that be saying to everybody?
No, that's not a good one.
It's not a good one. It's an exciting one.
I got a question. What happened in 1969 if you burned a flag in public, let's say at a rally?
Nothing.
Nothing happened to you?
Nothing.
They burned a lot of flags.
Yeah, they
in
did.
Boston.
Flags.
Okay, there was a thing about putting the flag on your ass when
Yeah.
your jeans wore out. Now, something came down with that. Like, not that it was exactly illegal.
It was an issue,
Well,
yeah.
one of the senators made a point. He said, what are you going to do now? They do napkins, that people, they do toilet paper in American flag. Are you going to stop all the commercial markets?
In New York, there was something. It became illegal, I think, to wear the flag. I could swear it. I was living there. Could that possibly be a state law?
I
Barbara
mean, it used
Bush
to
was
be,
wearing a flag.
when I was a kid, it was a sin if the flag touched the ground. That was like, you're going to get punished by God and stuff like that.
Sentenced later on.
I still remember that.
Sin now, pay later.
When Abby Hoffman made his appearance on the Tonight Show, I think it was, he was wearing the American flag.
Yeah.
And they only shot him from the neck up.
Oh, that's beautiful. That would be great in a little
Which was
documentary with the split screen with Elvis's pelvis on the Ed Sullivan Show.
But
you know?
that's exactly how Abby used it. So when he spoke to the camera, he said, you know, be aware of the fact that you will never see my body today. So while you were watching the whole interview, you were constantly conscious of what was being done to him.
Yeah. Plus he was masturbating throughout the whole thing. So I think they make use of it.
It's amazing they can make something so sacred.
What is sacred?
What is sacred?
Yeah.
It's the
Lazy
opposite of
bitch.
profane.
So then most things are sacred. Most things are the opposite of profane. Okay. Less is the opposite of profane, says that 12. I mean, how far does this go?
Even he
There's
is
a
sacred.
sacred and profane, right? Sacred falls under the heading of, ooh, don't touch.
The thing I always wonder
Special
about, though, is
powers.
that
The bum.
everybody always knows. You know, all the time, everybody knows. I can't understand how so many people can know and not know and pretend not to know. You know what I mean?
I think we're all good at that.
So is it the secret that everybody carries around with them, but each one is afraid to tell their wife or their son or their daughter the truth?
Whoa, what?
Like, everybody knows all the bullshit. You know what I mean? Yet everybody stays on these courses that they're afraid
You need
to
somebody
get
to
over.
initiate you.
But you would think fathers would sneak into their son's room one night, late at night, and say, "Look, kid, you know, and I know. Let's talk about
See,
the
that's
truth
the
here."
problem. Fathers don't do that.
But just truth?
Yeah, what they all
Initiation
know.
is initiation.
What everybody knows.
Oh.
You know.
Oh, did you narrow that down?
I wanted to do a piece. I wanted to do a piece like that, where somebody just came out, looked at everybody, and said, "Look, I know, and you know, and we know, we all know. So what the fuck?"
Yeah, I could use that in my piece.
That's a drug reference I
Let's
have.
just,
Huh.
well, that's good.
That's when I first realized it. I mean, we used to
Yeah.
do that when we were tripping on acid, taking the subway into New York to see, Grateful Dead concert or something. And we'd be sitting there and we'd be picking out people on the subway. He knows. She knows. There's only a few people on the train, but see, for me, it wasn't. My concept wasn't universal. Not everybody knows. Only people that are tuned in know.
Well, I think it's that thing, knowing that you know, which is like
Everybody knows.
noticing that you notice. Like everybody knows, but everybody doesn't know
notice.
they know, and
Yeah,
they need other
okay.
people to remind them that they know. You
Well,
know.
why do you think we don't? Why do you think we pretend we don't know?
That's very interesting.
He doesn't know.
Death problem.
Yeah.
Fear of death.
Fear of death.
Yeah.
Knowledge being death. Then
In other words,
ultimately?
if I tell you, I might die if I tell you the truth. I mean, because that's like so strange.
I mean, because
You
of
know
the
what I
taboo
mean?
or something.
Yeah, it's just like I have this theory that when people have a moment of genuine truth,
Yeah.
that just a moment, they say they had a spiritual experience
Yeah.
because they wouldn't dare call it reality. You know what I mean? Like, the moment of reality is so stark and so unfamiliar to our programming that when we have it, we call it spiritual.
Whoa!
Okay.
Right, is that ever quotable?
Did you get that?
That's the best definition of spiritual I've ever heard. That which is real.
I met with this guy a couple of years ago that somebody set up an appointment with. Wanted me to meet with him, an Italian guy. And he spoke no English. I spoke no Italian. And so this friend of mine was interpreting. And we just couldn't seem to meet until I told him that I was doing a piece on St. Teresa, who he like really loved. And then somewhere down the line, he said, he leaned over and he said something in Italian. He whispered in my ear, but the interpreter could hear it. And what he said was, spirituality is reality.
Oh.
Yeah. Only we call it spiritual because it's
Gotcha. That's
Weird.
great. That's a divisive way to think.
Well,
yeah.
Nobody
So that
talks about
flash,
their
like you
stuff
have
in
on
Yeah.
spiritual.
that flash you get sometimes on acid or something, where the truth becomes so obvious.
Yeah.
It's like a holy experience.
Yeah. It's almost
Do you think you could take that all day?
But it
You
should
have to
happen.
like you'd be walking around like that.
It should happen at every performance, though.
Yeah, wouldn't that? Yeah. Ooh. Wish I was
so
taking
where do you
notes.
think grace comes
good.
into this?
Grace. I used to think, you know how nobility has grace? You know, they sit down right, they lift the fork right and everything. That really what they're doing is deliberation. And that they're so aware that everybody is watching them, that they are watching everything they do. So grace, I think, is related to awareness.
But I don't mean that kind of grace. I mean amazing,
Amazing grace.
Although I don't think there's a separation.
Well, I mean
In
the
other
kind
words, that kind of,
States of grace.
if you could stay in that state of consciousness, you would enter a state of grace. But do you think a state of grace is different from grace?
See, I think that there is something else that's going on that may be God or something like that.
Do you think it's real?
I feel it's real. I don't think it's real. I don't really think it, but I feel it. And I feel like once in a while, these grace things happen.
And what do you think? Do you think they're real? Do you feel they're real?
Yes, I do feel they're real.
So what do you think they are? What do you feel they are?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So when I started working on St. Teresa,
Yeah.
and I asked Strawn if she believed in divinity,
Yeah.
she said, well, yeah, I guess so. I said, do you think it's real?
Uh-huh.
So she said, well, I said, because if it's not real, why should we even do this piece? Okay, because it's about the divine.
Right.
And if it's not real, why
Right.
bother?
Right.
So she said, I guess so. I said, okay, I will come in with a series of divine exercises so we can explore the reality of divinity. And so I came in and I deemed the space divine, which I think I did in the workshop.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And what happened was, she just started walking around like completely aware of everything when I called it divine. And then a couple of times she thought that she heard something or maybe saw something. She got kind of like, wow. And then she got out and I said, okay, now it's just plain old real. She went back in, and then I saw that the difference, and she did have a state of grace when it was divine. And I saw that there was a relationship between the super consciousness of hers at that moment and the grace that she had. So that divinity had a relationship to this kind of awareness of what was happening. And so I think grace is maybe related to that.
Yeah, you know, Coltrane said, he said that grace was the space between the notes.
Okay.
Was that in Douglas last night? Is it a Coltrane?
Oh, I don't know.
He's pretty incredible, though.
Yeah, he's good. It's a shame it came out like midnight.
Yeah, that was like, I couldn't have been. This one nuts.
Last night?
It was a long show.
I went last night.
Oh, you went?
Yeah.
Kedric, did you like the show?
I did. Yeah, I did. I got a little weary toward the end just because of the length of the evening. But overall, I liked it. I had a good time. And it was pretty, you know. The girl, the Japanese girl in that first piece.
Tell me about her. Woo! Who is that woman?
You know,
Was
she
it Lori
got
Tom? Was it
to,
Lori
she
Tom?
got to me.
Did you? I'm so glad to hear that. We were walking back to the car after the performance.
Yeah?
I'm talking to Bill Fisher.
She was the piece for me.
Fisher was saying, what'd you think of the show? He really hated the first piece. And I said, well, I don't know about you, but I am like really in love with that woman. I'm telling you, I've never been a lesbian and don't plan on being, but I am. And I could have watched that woman all night long.
Yeah.
I mean, I
She-
fell for her.
Yeah.
I thought she was the hottest performer
Exactly.
in a long time. I'm hot for this woman. It's unbelievable.
She just really touched me.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, she put it, you know, when she said, I'm all alone, that was,
Broke my heart.
that my,
Broke
you
my
know,
heart.
that was the universal I'm all alone, you know.
Yeah,
That she
exactly.
covered it, just,
Oh,
you know.
She was good. And what a face.
Oh, she was so gorgeous.
Died for it.
And anyway, so that was, and then, who was it? Was Dan after?
Yeah, Dan wrote
Really cracked up. The dance piece was great.
I heard.
It was great. And
You love the KY jelly.
and the KY jelly and the
That was very fun.
Roper screwed that trombone, you know. You know, Dan was cleaning his very properly, you know, and Roper was like oiling his up and screwing this trombone.
He's been doing a lot with that tuba
Yeah.
lately.
It was a funny piece. It was, and then the Japanese troupe too.
Huh?
The Japanese troupe,
Yeah, L.A. Carmen.
they were so bizarre.
Now,
They were
Karen
so bizarre. I
Yamashita.
couldn't. What?
Who's Karen Yamashita? She's the one that wore the red wig.
Yeah, you know, and they were all Japanese, right? Where did they come from?
No, their accents were
What was the name of that?
Los Angeles
Hana
accent.
something. Kuso? Hana-
But you know,
They just,
Hanakuso?
yes, that's who it
You know?
was.
Hanakuso
Yeah.
was performing?
Yeah, they got a grab.
and like they really sang. You know, they really sang, and she really played that stand-up bass.
Yeah, and the other one played the recorder.
Right. It was,
Multi-disc.
you know, not quite my style of theater, but I loved it.
Well, I love Carmen's,
Carmen.
the opera.
Yeah. And that, you know, where she was going to jump off the cliffs and Palisades, and then the one in Japan was going to splatter herself on the front of the bullet train because
Why?
because life had gotten too unbearable. The Americans went to Japan, got all fucked up. Japanese came over here, got all fucked up. One of them was going to commit suicide by jumping off the cliffs at the Palisades. The other was going to commit suicide by jumping in front of the bullet train.
So do they take you to a whole thing to how they get to that point?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they went to that was a big show. This mechanical monster come out, made out of baseboard boxes. Mechanical monster come out.
Forgot about that.
And it was the Dow Jones averages, and then the Japanese stock exchange, kind of a monster made out of two of them. Come on stage, you know. Yeah. A lot of very exciting things. But that one of the highs was.
Yeah, I heard he had a bad opening night when they reviewed it, but I heard it.
Oh, he was great. Wasn't Louis wonderful?
Louis was the hot, he was
Great,
so.
Louis was
Oh,
just.
Luis.
Louis, yeah.
Luis Alfaro? He's hot.
He was so hot. His poetry was so strong.
I thought that was the
Wow.
strongest
Besides,
writing.
Look, it was great.
It's very political.
The writing.
He never collaborated with Tom before, though, as far as I know.
Who was
that
Tom?
may-
Oh, yes, yes.
Tom, oh, has he? Tom who? Tom, it's a very familiar last name. It's
Most
Lighting at
lights
Lace.
and lace.
Everybody knows everybody's
Piece of
bio.
fish in there if anybody wants it. I
So
brought 2 pieces of fish.
Was this Tom a performer?
No, collaborated on the writing and directing.
Nancy?
So
No,
in this thing, did you have to collab? Were they all collaborations?
They asked, in the proposal, they asked for collaborative work.
Uh-huh.
This is the program.
Collaborative?
Yep, they asked for collaborative.
Huh.
Oh,
And
then
Luis-
so he was solo.
Yes, but he collaborated with Tom in the writing and the directing, so I guess they considered it collaborative.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't that specific in what they meant by collaboration. So.
Oh. Was there a little static about that?
I don't think so. Although Dan was not too happy when he saw that Luis was doing it alone, and ultimately Dan would have preferred to work alone, but he worked with him. I think. I don't know.
That he did, though.
What?
That's a nice piece.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was born out of some. I mean, they had trouble at first with it, but then it blossomed out of that with something which I thought was very good.
It was so funny because I had heard that they were having trouble and what the trouble was. I had no idea what the piece was, and the piece was.
Well, yeah, they do fire at each other in the piece.
Yeah.
You know, they
Right.
bad rap each other.
Right, but that's what someone
That's
just
what-
said was happening in the
Yeah.
rehearsal. So I
Right.
thought it was like, wait a minute.
Well, do you ever find that a performance is paralleling your life, something that you're writing? When I wrote this Rough Cuts piece, it was paralleling what was going on in my life.
I don't think probably by the time I do it, probably when I'm writing.
Yeah, when you're writing it, right. Well, I found that.
When I did psycho opera with John, after a while, that piece was getting to me psychologically. I thought, I can't do this one more time, I'm gonna go crazy. I really, the phrases would go over and over again in my head, and it was so dark. It was so dark. I thought I was gonna go nuts. And I'm sure John, it was not a fun thing for John. It was not a fun time, I think.
So Luis made a statement after his performance about his friends John Fleck and Tim Miller.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and he
At
said
the performance?
Yeah, he said people clapped like crazy. He got off stage, then he came back on for his second curtain call, and he just went like this. You know, people were like really, they were real pleased with him. And he goes, I don't remember what he said. Something about he got that Monday morning kind of feeling when he woke up this morning because he got the paper and he heard about his friends being rejected. But what was his appeal though? What did he was asking something, please something, support.
Well, there were petitions to sign outside the table. You know, the people signed and they were sending them in. You know, to protest.
I wonder if we can get into this press conference tomorrow. I think they'll close the doors and I'll let folks in.
I don't know.
Go.
They're trying to get as many people there as they can.
Oh really? You want to go? I'll see you there.
I got work.
Cancel.
I might try to do this.
Scott, go.
I can't. I have a meeting with Tim Robbins' accountants.
Oh. Send a proxy. Oh, that's good. You're talking to Tim. I heard Gudita found a space.
We did, but now we've lost it again.
Oh, okay. Well, what else is there?
There'll be other spaces.
Well, she's put in about 100 hours already. And we've
Really?
come this close 3 times. It gets pretty discouraging
I'm
after a while.
sure.
It's the worst work in the world.
You gotta hang in there.
To run down spaces, look at spaces, deal with realtors, make appointments, go there, and then, because there's 10 different things you have to consider, see that it hasn't got one of the things, and you start all over again. It's horrible. So, this one like really killed us because the space was perfect, everything was settled, and then it's all through.
But you're getting in the space.
That-
It's a matter of time.
I mean, it was all the way up to the meeting tomorrow with Tim's accountants to bring the money in, to start the building, and then boom. So it takes a lot out of you.
Huh.
I mean, in a way, it had me a little nervous because I'd only be around for a week, and the goal was to both build the theater and mount Tim's new show for the August opening. I mean, I told him that's totally crazy, and his productions are big. He's thinking about doing Murat Saad.
Sure, you just throw that together on a weekend. No,
Everybody
I'm
will
a talented guy.
Everybody will be crazy by the time it opens.
But he's counting on you.
Damn.
I don't know, but there was a hell of a lot of work for 3 days.
Really?
Oh my,
The Japanese
Japan.
people?
Oh,
My God, a staggering amount of work. Staggering amount of work.
Oh, same thing with what's her name, Gilbert. She did a piece in that.
Oh, fuck.
Generator 8.
Yeah.
You see it?
No.
Critics did not like the show too
I was beating myself up about
You saw it?
You missed it.
Oh.
I hate critics. I think that if you want to be a critic, there's something just like wrong with you. Like maybe if you're a murderer, it's the same kind of.
Well, Tom Stringer is resigning tomorrow.
Why?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
He said he can't look at theater anymore. He says it's so bad.
Wow.
He doesn't want to review it anymore. There's such a hard time with it.
The theater's so bad?
What's he gonna review?
He's not.
Oh.
See, I think
What
that's,
is there?
I don't, well, who am I to
Why?
say that?
He's been doing it for
I
a long
just,
time.
I know, but I think that if you, theater, I don't care how bad it is or how bad you think it is the most glorious thing, one of the most glorious things on the planet. And I think to think to yourself that theater's horrible, something else is wrong.
What he's talking about is the quality of what he goes to see is so discouraging, and he's been doing it for 5 years, 2 and 3 times a week, that it can just. I mean, he's studying, he's working in theater, but he just can't.
A man like that should
Well,
make
what
it
does
here.
he, what does he
look
go
at
to
it.
see though? I mean,
He goes
things
to
that
see
they
what
make him see,
No,
or?
yeah, he has to see certain major things. I mean, he's the entertainment editor of the Reader. I mean, he can't just go when it feels like it.
But you know, when you go as a critic, it's a different thing than going as a participant or as an
Yeah.
audience. You know, it's like you have this whole other
You cannot get your head on straight.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just, it's bad enough when you start performing and then go to see things and go, oh, I would have done that or I wouldn't have done that. You know, that's bad enough. But to be a critic, it doesn't sound like much fun.
Well, it's a sign of a good critic, one that quits.
Yeah. That's what Martin Bernstein.
All these people will repeat these pieces. They have, probably. No one does that much
See, if
work
we had
now.
a theater now, one of the pieces could have moved in. That's the problem, there's no spaces.
So are you leaving to go up to do in Canada?
See, Scott, some of those pieces you can pick up in pipeline. They're very good. They're brand
That's
new
what I
pieces.
mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. That's why it's unfortunate that there's no place for it.
Louis was wonderful. Good.
They got that good stuff.
Remember the helicopter and the light?
They had to
The
fight
ice
for
pieces
that.
work
Huh?
well in a gallery.
They had to have like a big hassle with the chamber to get that effect. They didn't, because they had to have somebody operate it, and they didn't want to put anybody up there.
Were you on this staff?
We were just talking about it. Because look, I provided my
Isn't that your
film,
lighting design
my
for the
own
wall?
Was it an economic thing? They didn't want to pay
No,
somebody
that's
to...
it.
I don't know.
I think
Make
what
a
happened
safety
with
thing.
them, which is a very interesting thing, is they came in very low tech. And so my sense is that people started treating them as low tech. So when they finally did ask for something, it was like a big deal. But obviously, I mean, like those other pieces were very highly tech. The first one and the Japanese troupe, and that must have taken a lot of tech time to get that stuff straight. And Louise is like asking for nothing.
Yeah.
A light that moves and that's it.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Right. And so
So, yeah,
I
I
think
gotta move it.
I think they felt if they were to do it over again that they would be more, I don't know if demanding is the right word, but you know. Well, Dan's piece was pretty low tech. It wasn't- so
I
they-
love the set.
Well, you get what you ask for.
He said that they were very nice. The lighting designer was real nice about taking time.
Richard Hoyes wrote that.
Yeah, and he really took time with Dan to explain exactly what he needed, and he gave it right to him. Instead of
Yeah, well,
working
Richard is really good. He's so patient.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
nobody
gentleman.
wants.
So the taper people were a good support staff. The producers and the tech people really worked. with the
Well, the
artists.
woman I met seemed really nice.
Josephine
One of those-
Ramirez?
Yeah.
I talked to her too. She's the one that worked on Dan's tools. Yeah. She like
Yeah.
saved the pieces.
Because I was saying to her, I said, how do you like working for a joint like that? She said, well, it's not easy.
What is her
She's
background?
Well, she was from San Francisco. I forget where she was working, and she said, I just wanted her to stretch out a little bit, and also be able to make a living. So I said, but you must be paying some heavy dues. She said, I am.
Was she a bigger fish in the smaller pond in San Francisco?
I think she had more artistic freedom and more influence in terms of the kinds of projects she could do and everything like that. But she knows that there's limitations, and she's not sure how long she can work under these kind of conditions.
Did those three women producers write for a grant from somewhere? Like, did they suggest to the city, we
Probably.
three women would like to produce these kinds of
Probably.
artists at the Taper 2?
Probably, because they always plan things way in advance, and they won't do anything unless they have special monies for it.
What they did is
Oh,
they
but
went
you-
to different people and said, they went to Erica and they said, suggest an artist. And they went to some other people.
I'll tell you, Taper has been a lot more generous than LATC in terms of like the Taper 2 has been giving the GAM rehearsal space and everything like that. I don't think LATC would ever do anything like that.
LATC doesn't do much if you don't have those guys.
Put it on and focus it on a chair.
Well, David sure is doing a lot of work
Your earring
with
looks really
Schweitzer.
good.
But it's interesting, like all his work, and it's good work, but I really feel like he found his directorial
You gonna
voice
take off?
in the notes and performance. Because that kind of established the style.
Uh-huh.
Before that, I hated his stuff. It was sloppy, it was,
Oh, and I said,
and I think the influence maybe Tony Abedamako and Jane Monroe,
how you doing?
the way they worked that piece, had something to do with David discovering some techniques that he uses.
Where's Jim Monroe?
He's really been okay, I guess. Getting straight acting gigs.
I heard he bought a house
Bought a house.
in Echo Park.
But his last couple of pieces were pretty bad.
Oh, I don't
Felt
like his work at all.
You ever see Alligator Towers?
No, I heard that was really
I mean,
good.
he used to do really, he did another piece also at that same time. And then after that, when he started to get ambitious and resentful of the fact that he wasn't making it, his pieces changed.
Neighborhood kids.
We talked about
Jim Monroe.
What? Jan Monroe. There was a point where he came to me thoroughly disgusted with being a performance artist because he wasn't making any money from it and everything like that. Now he was going to start going for some buzz. And then his performance pieces really declined a lot too. Yeah.
I remember the first time I met him was at the High Performance Benefit at Studio One. I was doing an act with Bachelors Anonymous, and I had to learn the act in a week, and I had the flu, and I was like wanting to vomit, and we're all backstage, and I'm just like wanting to vomit, and John's back there, and he wants to vomit, and Monroe starts strutting through like, hey,
He schooled me?
Yeah, and so he got up on stage, and it was the worst piece of trash I have ever seen in my life. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is the guy I thought we had it all, together.
He
And
did his own piece.
he did this thing about Hitler.
Yeah.
Oh my! And the
No, I
audience
produced
just,
it.
and then John got up
I
and
produced
did.
it on a bill with Peter Bergman and Paul Krasner. He wanted to be with all comics. And it was Peter Bergman, Paul Krasner, some other very funny guy, and Jan doing his hypnotist. And the place just went boom, like that. It's like,
And then John came in shortly after that and did the thing where he goes to the audience in the rain and gets up on the stage, and people are like going insane, because it's such a cabaret kind of thing. It's just very weird.
You've had some weird theater experiences.
Yeah.
but he studied with the crew for many years. I mean, he started getting a little too concerned with literary elements and not enough with movement, which was always a strong point.
Tell me about your crew. I hear this guy's name all the time. Bill studied with him. What is it? Does he teach mime or what's his deal?
He teaches his own brand of it.
Who's this?
Did you see the crew? Did you see Dulcinea, the Canadian?
Yeah. The one you produced?
Yeah, she was also a student of the crew.
Okay.
So is Jeff McMahon from New York.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
so
He
is,
did something major.
somebody else who's really good. Tom
Your
Leapold.
eyes are so blue.
It's interesting. I mean, I've learned some of it in the past month. It's an interesting.
John Louis Barrault, do you know him? French actor. You know him? Yeah. You never saw Children of Paradise? I mean, greats have studied with him. Marcel Massoud studied with him at one time. Now the guy's destitute, starving.
Where is he now?
Crew, really?
Trying to raise money
Where is he?
in France.
Let's do a benefit.
That's where the NEA money should go.
Marcel himself could take care of the guy.
Yeah.
Well, certainly Bill has that heavy influence. I mean, all his movement, even when he's not doing dance movement, it's kind of like, it's very sudden, it's very short, it's very sharp, and there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this. See, every part of the body you can move.
That's good work.
And you can move this, you'll move this here, the neck that way, the bust this way. I mean, you just, as if your body's in building blocks.
They're all isolations.
Yeah, they're all isolations, and there's something about the plumb line, or it's like moving the plumb line and shifting your weight in certain ways that.
So have you been learning it?
Yeah, and you stop your body in an inopportune moment, like when something's like horribly uncomfortable. It's just where you do your pause.
But say when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, when it's actually uncomfortable, but you learn a way to shift everything, to shift your weight, so it looks to the audience like you're going to fall over any minute, and you're perfectly balanced.
That's great stuff.
What are you talking about?
DeCrew's work.
Did you take a workshop with him?
No, but I'm in this piece with William Fisher, and William Fisher studied
I'm
with
going to come
them.
to a rehearsal this week.
Where is it?
Oh, that's cool. Where is it? At Zeta? There's a flyer right there. I left it on Mary's kitchen. It's on the bar. There's one.
Oh, cool. I picked up one last night.
Oh, that's us. Yeah, William was very smart to bring him with him.
Kowski's done such you lie on the ground and you divide your body into two parts. And this part goes on one trip and the other part goes on the other. And then you would divide it into 4. And his people could divide it into 16 different parts and play the
Yeah, that's
How many parts can you play?
I have trouble with one. And you want to get it.
I thought the work was difficult to learn. That kind of movement. It took me a while.
Well,
You
you
mostly
just-
chose dances.
you have to be very disciplined.
And the dances have more of an affinity for that kind of isolation work.
On the side here is the
Well, but what the black musician guy, the Ma Bell, is he a dancer?
Yeah, actually teaches dancing.
Oh, really?
Really recently, yeah.
He's a sweet man.
Is it supposed to be broken?
Did you use both tapes? Nope. I'm just thinking now, because I'm going to have to split.
You
I
took
got to
off.
clean my house so that Mary's maid can clean it up tomorrow.
I know, that's true. I was cleaning before my house dinner comes.
So do I.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Oh, God.
But a good house cleaner will just take your shit and just sort of neatly move it to the side.
There's
and
no
clean around.
side to move it to.
Scott, now you didn't inventory all the stuff,
What do you mean?
all the tapes.
What do you mean?
I brought in a couple of tapes I have.
You talking about tonight?
Yeah.
Years back. So
Oh,
what I'm trying
years
to do-
back. Oh.
What I'm trying to do